Ugh, not another price hike. ZYX Avocado groaned, staring at the holographic menu floating above the counter of her favorite toast bar, Smash Dreams. The cost of her go-to breakfast, artisanal sourdough topped with hand-mashed Percy Americana, had skyrocketed overnight. Again, ZYX's friend, Lem Toastworthy, peered over her shoulder, his brow furrowing. Holy guacamole! That's ridiculous. How are we supposed to afford basic nutrition at these prices? The barista, a bored-looking Vexolian with 3 eyes and skin the color of overripe avocados, shrugged all 6 of his shoulders. Supply and demand meet Saks. The galactic conglomerate sets the prices. We just serve the toast. ZYX and Lem exchanged glances. This wasn't just about breakfast anymore. It was about dignity, about freedom, about the inalienable right of sentient beings across the cosmos to enjoy avocado toast without selling a kidney or 3, depending on your species. We can't take this lying down, ZYX hissed, her eyes blazing with the fire of 1,000 suns. It's time we stood up to these cosmic tyrants. Lem nodded, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. You thinking what I'm thinking? Millennial uprising? They both shouted in unison, drawing curious looks from the other patrons. And so, in a dingy toast bar on the outskirts of New Neo-Tokyo, a revolution was born. Word spread faster than avocados could ripen. Across Earth and its colonies, millennials and their allies began to organize. Secret meetings were held in artisanal coffee shops, plans were hatched over craft beer, and manifestos were scribbled on the backs of unpaid student loan bills. ZYX and Lem found themselves at the center of it all. Their apartment became Revolution HQ, with star charts and price graphs plastered across every surface. They recruited a team of unlikely heroes. Pixel Databyte, a genius hacker with a penchant for cat memes and an inexplicable ability to turn any conversation into a rant about cryptocurrency. Dr. Kale Greenfist, a botanist specializing in extreme agriculture, who swore she could grow avocados in the vacuum of space. If those corporate bastards would just give me a chance. Captain Jack Sourdough, a disillusioned former galactic conglomerate pilot, who claimed he left because the benefits package sucked, but everyone knew it was because they wouldn't let him bring his emotional support tardigrade on flights. As their numbers grew, so did their audacity. They began with small acts of rebellion, leaving 1-star reviews on the galactic conglomerate's space Yelp page, hosting underground avocado speakeasies, and plastering Toast the Rich posters across major spaceports. But the galactic conglomerate wasn't about to let a bunch of toast-obsessed troublemakers disrupt their profit margins. They responded with a galaxy-wide smear campaign, painting the rebels as entitled brats who just need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and maybe cut back on the space lattes. The final straw came when the conglomerate CEO, a gelatinous blob named Zorp the Insatiable, announced a 500% tariff on all Earth-produced avocados. Let them eat synthy paste, he burbled smugly during a press conference, right before engulfing an entire buffet of luxury foods imported from 1,000 worlds. ZYX slammed her fist on the table, causing Pixel's holographic displays to flicker. That's IT. We're taking this fight to the stars. But how? Lem asked, voicing the question on everyone's minds. We're just a bunch of broke millennials with too many degrees and not enough common sense. ZYX's eyes gleamed with determination. We've got something they don't, though. We've got memes. We've got Wi-Fi. And most importantly, she paused for dramatic effect, we've got avocados. A chorus of confused murmurs filled the room. Dr. Kale raised an eyebrow. ZYX? Didn't you hear the blob? They've basically embargoed all our avocados. Exactly, ZYX exclaimed, a manic grin spreading across her face. They think they've cut off our supply. But what they don't know is that we've been secretly stockpiling. Every hipster cafe, every millennial apartment, every artisanal market. We've got mountains of avocados hidden away. And now, she lowered her voice to a dramatic whisper, we're going to use them as biological weapons. The room erupted in a mixture of shocked gasps and excited chatter. Captain Jack stood up, his eyes wide. You don't mean? ZYX nodded solemnly. Oh yes, I do. It's time to introduce the galaxy to the weaponized power of our superfood. Prepare the ships, my friends. We're about to launch the Great Guac Offensive. As the team scrambled to action, ZYX turned to look out the window at the glittering expanse of stars. She clenched her fist, feeling the weight of an entire generation's hopes and dreams resting on her shoulders. You want a war, Zorp? She muttered. Well, you've got one, and it's going to be extra chunky. The rickety fleet of the Millennial Uprising, dubbed the Guacamata, was a sight to behold. Retrofitted food trucks, converted coffee shops, and repurposed delivery drones formed an armada that would have been laughable if it wasn't so, well, still pretty laughable. At the helm of the flagship, a massive, avocado-shaped vessel christened the Holy Guacamole stood ZYX, her eyes gleaming with the fire of revolution and maybe a touch of sleep deprivation. Status report, she barked, adjusting her Smash the Patriarchy and Avocado's headband. Pixel's fingers flew across a console cobbled together from old smartphones and a toaster. We've breached the outer defenses of Centauri Prime, the galactic conglomerate's HQ. They didn't even try to stop us. I think they're laughing, actually. ZYX grinned. Perfect. They always underestimate us. Lem, prepare the diplomacy cannon. Lem saluted with a piece of toast. Aye, aye, Captain. Diplomacy cannon is loaded and ready to spread peace, love, and creamy avocado goodness across the galaxy. As they approached the glittering spires of Centauri Prime, a transmission crackled through their comms. The gelatinous face of Zorp the Insatiable filled their screens, jiggling with mirth. Well, 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 the blob gurgled. If it isn't Earth's little rebellious phase. How adorable. Come to throw a tantrum about your breakfast, have you? ZYX stepped forward, her chin held high. We come in peace, Zorp, and we bring a message from Earth. Oh, and what might that be? Please, sir, can I have some more overpriced fruit? Zorp's gelatinous form quivered with laughter. ZYX's eyes narrowed. Not quite. She turned to Lem and nodded. Fire the diplomacy cannon. With a thunderous splat, a massive glob of perfectly ripe avocado shot from the Holy Guacamole, splattering across Zorp's viewport. The conglomerate's forces watched in stunned silence as the green goo slowly dripped down, forming a smiley face. What is the meaning of this? Zorp bellowed, his gelatinous form rippling with rage. That, my dear Zorp, ZYX said calmly, is the taste of revolution, and it pairs excellently with the bitter ashes of your oppressive regime. Before Zorp could respond, Pixel's voice rang out. Guys? We got incoming. Looks like half the known galaxy just dropped out of hyperspace. The view screen lit up with thousands of ships from every corner of the cosmos. But instead of attacking, they just hovered there. A new voice crackled over the comms. This is Admiral Zest of the Spice Nebula. We picked up your unique transmission. Is that real avocado? Sure is. Lem chimed in. 100% organic. Ethically sourced, gluten-free, non-GMO, free-range avocado. A chorus of excited chatter filled the airwaves. It seemed the Millennial Uprising had stumbled upon a universal truth. Everybody loves avocados. But how? Zorp sputtered. We controlled the entire supply. Dr. Kale stepped forward, a smug grin on her face. Not all of it, you corporate cretin. While you were busy gouging prices, we were perfecting our hydroponic avocado farms. Turns out, they grow really well in zero-G. Who knew? As if on cue, the Holy Guacamole's cargo bay doors opened, revealing mountains of perfectly ripe avocados. The assembled alien fleets gasped in collective awe. Admiral Zest's voice quivered with emotion. Earth, we had no idea. We thought you were just a primitive planet of toast-obsessed primates. But this changes everything. ZYX saw her chance. It doesn't have to be this way, Admiral. Join us. Together, we can create a galaxy where no one has to take out a second mortgage just to enjoy some avocado toast. A cheer went up from the alien ships. One by one, they pledged their allegiance to the Millennial Uprising. Zorp watched in horror as his carefully constructed empire crumbled before his gelatinous eyes. This is impossible, he gurgled. You can't overthrow an entire galactic economy with fruit. ZYX smiled serenely. Oh, but we can, and we will. You see, Zorp, you made one crucial mistake. And what's that? The blob sneered. You forgot the power of brunch. As if summoned by the word itself, thousands of mimosa glasses appeared in the hands or tentacles or pincers of beings across the assembled fleet. They raised them in a toast to their new allies from Earth. Zorp's form quivered with rage. This isn't over, you avocado-loving lunatics. I'll be back, and when I am, I'll dash. But his transmission was cut off as a particularly well-aimed glob of guacamole hit the end call button. ZYX turned to her crew, her eyes shining. Well, team, looks like phase 1 of our plan was a success. But this is just the beginning. We got a galaxy to reform and a whole lot of avocado toast to make. As the holy guacamole prepared to dock with the Centauri Prime space station, ZYX couldn't help but feel a twinge of excitement. They had come here expecting a war. Instead, they had found allies and the start of a beautiful, green, slightly mushy friendship. But little did they know, the real battle was just beginning. For in the depths of space, something was stirring. Something ancient, powerful, and with a serious grudge against superfoods. Incoming, Pixel's voice rang out across the holy guacamole's bridge. We've got multiple bogies dropping out of hyperspace. ZYX, in the middle of negotiating avocado trade routes with a delegation of Spice Nebula diplomats, spun around. What the hell? I thought we were past the fighting. The ship's viewport filled with a terrifying sight. Hundreds, no, thousands of ships materialized before them. But these weren't the mismatched fleet of the galactic conglomerate. These ships were sleek, dark, and utterly alien. Oh crap, Captain Jax muttered, his face pale. It's them, the carbophobes. A collective gasp went up from the bridge crew. Even the alien diplomats looked shaken. The who now? Lem asked, confusion evident on his face. Dr. Kale's voice was grim as she explained. The carbophobes, an ancient race from the far reaches of the galaxy. Legend has it they subsist entirely on pure protein and spite. They despise all forms of carbohydrates, especially. Let me guess, ZYX interjected. Bread? As if in answer, a massive hologram flickered to life before their fleet. A being that looked like a sentient protein shake, complete with bulging muscles and a permanent sneer, glared down at them. Attention, puny carb lovers, the being boomed. I am Lord Keto, Supreme Commander of the Carbophobe Empire. We have watched your pitiful revolution with disgust. Did you really think we'd allow you to spread your bread-based blasphemy across the galaxy? ZYX stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear churning in her gut. Listen here, you overgrown protein bar. We've come too far to be intimidated by some carb-hating creeps. The galaxy has spoken, and it wants avocado toast. Lord Keto's face contorted with rage. Silence, Toast Witch. We will cleanse this galaxy of your weedy wickedness. Prepare to be carb cleansed. The transmission cut off, and immediately the carbophobe fleet opened fire. Beams of pure, concentrated protein slammed into the shields of Earth's allies. Battle stations. ZYX yelled. Pixel, get our defense systems online. Lem, warm up the toast cannons. Dr. Kale, we're gonna need all the avocados you can muster. As chaos erupted around them, Captain Jax pulled ZYX aside. Kid, I've seen some crazy stuff in my days, but this? We're outgunned, outmanned, and quite frankly, outmuscled. How the hell are we supposed to fight these protein-powered PSYC hoes? ZYX's eyes gleamed with determination. The same way we've done everything else, Captain, with bread, brunch, and sheer millennial audacity. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a galaxy to save. She raced to the ship's intercom. Attention, all ships. This is ZYX Avabrew of the Holy Guacamole. I know we're scared. I know the odds look impossible. But remember why we're here. We didn't come this far to let some muscle-bound maniacs take away our right to enjoy a decent brunch. Now, who's ready to make some toast? A resounding cheer echoed across the comms. Across the fleet, ships began to move into formation. The holy guacamole took point, its ridiculous avocado shape, now a rallying symbol for the entire galaxy. Toast cannons charged and ready. Lem reported. Guac launchers primed. Dr. Kale added. Meme generators at maximum capacity. Pixel chimed in. ZYX nodded, a fierce grin on her face. All right, team. Let's show these protein pushers what happens when you mess with brunch. Fire everything. The space between the fleets erupted in a surreal firefight. The carbophobes launched volleys of protein beams and keto torpedoes. In return, the Brunch Alliance, as they'd spontaneously dubbed themselves, retaliated with toast missiles, guacamole bombs, and, in one memorable instance, a barrage of weaponized mimosas. The battle raged for hours. Ships on both sides fell, leaving debris and breakfast foods floating in the void. But slowly, impossibly, the tide began to turn. You see, the carbophobes had made one critical miscalculation. They'd assumed that bread was weak, that carbs made one soft. They never considered that maybe, just maybe, there's strength in softness, flexibility in flour, power in pancakes. As the Brunch Alliance pushed forward, cracks began to show in the carbophobe formation. It turned out that a diet of pure protein and hatred wasn't great for long-term endurance. Their shields are weakening. Pixel shouted excitedly. One more big push, and we might just win this. ZYX nodded grimly. Then it's time. Send the signal. Tell all ships to prepare for the Avocado Armada's ultimate attack. Captain Jax's eyes widened. You don't mean? Oh yes, I do. ZYX's voice was solemn. It's time for the Millennials special. Across the fleet, crews sprang into action. Bread was toasted. Avocados were mashed. A truly absurd amount of hollandaise sauce was prepared. On my mark, ZYX commanded, her eyes fixed on the enemy flagship. 3, 2, 1, brunch. In perfect unison, every ship in the Brunch Alliance fired. But instead of explosives or energy beams, they launched the most epic avocado toast the galaxy had ever seen. Millions of perfectly crafted, Instagram-worthy pieces of avocado toast hurtled through space, splattering across the carbophobe ships in a glorious green explosion. The effect was instantaneous. Carbophobe ships began to sputter and stall, their crews too distracted by the sudden, overwhelming craving for complex carbohydrates. Lord Keto's enraged face appeared on the view screen once more. What have you done? My warriors, they're hungry. ZYX smirked. That's right, Keto. It turns out the universe doesn't run on protein shakes alone. Now, are you ready to talk? Or do we need to break out the sourdough? The carbophobe leader's sneer faltered, then crumbled entirely. I yield. The sight of all that delicious toast, it awakened something in me. Something I've been denying for eons. I want carbs. A cheer went up across the Brunch Alliance. They had done it. They had saved the galaxy with the power of breakfast foods. As ZYX prepared to board the carbophobe flagship for peace talks and a much-needed brunch, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. They had faced impossible odds, stared down ancient enemies, and emerged victorious. All because they refused to give up on the simple pleasure of avocado toast. But even as they celebrated, none of them noticed the small, innocuous-looking ship slipping away from the battlefield. A ship carrying a very angry, very determined blob named Zorp. And he had plans. Oh yes, he had plans. And with that final signature, I hereby declare the Intergalactic Brunch Accords officially ratified. ZYX's voice rang out across the Grand Hall of the newly christened Cosmic Cuisine Council. The assembled delegates, a motley crew of former carbophobes, reformed galactic conglomerate executives, and various alien species, erupted into cheers. Well, most of them cheered. Some clicked their mandibles excitedly. A few exploded into colorful spores of joy. One particularly enthusiastic Gluppian diplomat melted into a puddle of happy goo. Lem sidled up to ZYX, grinning from ear to ear. We did it, partner. Who would have thought our little avocado rebellion would end up reshaping galactic politics? ZYX chuckled, shaking her head in disbelief. Certainly not me. I just wanted affordable toast and somehow we ended up with this. She gestured around the opulent chamber. Hovering displays showcased the day's agenda. 9 o'clock. Debate on standardized avocado ripeness metrics. 11:30. Workshop. Cross-species adaptations of Eggs Benedict. 1400 hours. Emergency session on the ethical implications of time-dilated sourdough starters. Speaking of this, Pixel chimed in, tapping furiously on her holographic tablet. We've got a situation brewing in the Cygnus arm. Apparently, some rogue chefs are experimenting with molecular gastronomy. They're turning entire nebulae into cosmic bouillabaisse. Dr. Kale's eyes widened. That's insane. Don't they realize the delicate balance of flavor profiles in a stellar nursery? Quick, someone give me a shuttle and 50 tons of arugula. I need to stop this madness. As the doctor rushed off, Captain Jack sauntered over, looking uncomfortable in his new formal uniform. You know, kid, he drawled, addressing ZYX. When I signed up for this gig, I thought we'd be fighting space battles, not menu planning. ZYX patted him on the shoulder. Oh, come on, Captain. Admit it. This is way more exciting than your old galactic conglomerate job. Jax's mouth twitched in a reluctant smile. Well, I suppose the food is better. And my emotional support tardigrade seems to enjoy the new Zero-G buffet. Their casual banter was interrupted by a commotion at the chamber's entrance. Lord Keto, former Supreme Commander of the Carbophobes, and now the Cosmic Cuisine Council's enthusiastic carbohydrate ambassador, burst in, his protein shake body jiggling with excitement. Friends, comrades, fellow lovers of all things delicious, he boomed. I've just returned from the Outer Rim with a revolutionary discovery. The room fell silent, all eyes and various sensory organs fixed on Keto. Behold! He proudly held up what looked like a perfectly ordinary bagel. Confused murmurs rippled through the crowd. ZYX raised an eyebrow. Keto? That's a bagel. We've had those for like centuries. Keto's grin widened. But this is no ordinary bagel, my dear ZYX. This is a quantum bagel. The murmurs turned to gasps of awe and confusion. You see, Keto continued, warming to his subject, this bagel exists in a state of taste superposition. It simultaneously contains and doesn't contain every possible flavor in the universe. Only when you take a bite does the waveform collapse, giving you the perfect flavor for that exact moment. The chamber erupted into excited chatter. Scientists clamored for a closer look. Chefs demanded to know the recipe. Philosophers began heated debates on the nature of taste and reality. Amidst the chaos, Lem leaned in close to ZYX. Okay, I'll bite. No pun intended. How the heck did Keto manage to create a quantum bagel? ZYX shrugged, a bemused smile on her face. Who knows? A few months ago, he was trying to eradicate all carbs from the galaxy. Now he's revolutionizing bread-based physics. I guess people really can change. As the excitement over the quantum bagel reached fever pitch, a shrill alarm cut through the noise. Pixel's face went pale as she checked her devices. Guys, we got a massive problem. Something's happening to the galactic core. It's out with it, Pixel, ZYX demanded. Pixel swallowed hard. It's fermenting. A hush fell over the room, followed by panicked whispers. Fermenting? The galactic core? How is that even possible? Before anyone could process this information, the grand view screen at the front of the chamber flickered to life. A familiar gelatinous face filled the display, its blob-like features twisted into a smug grin. Hello, brunch lovers, Zorp sneered. Miss me? ZYX's fists clenched. Zorp, what have you done? The former CEO's gelatinous form quivered with malicious glee. Oh, nothing much. Just turned the entire galactic core into the universe's largest sourdough starter. And in about, 17 minutes, it's going to expand. Hope you all like your planets with a little extra crust. Gasps of horror echoed through the chamber. If the core expanded, it would consume everything in its path. Billions of lives, countless civilizations, all wiped out in a cosmic baking accident. Zorp continued, his voice dripping with sarcasm. What's the matter? I thought you loved bread. Well, now you can have all the bread you want. As the villain's laughter filled the room, ZYX felt the weight of the galaxy settling on her shoulders. They had fought so hard for peace, for a future where all beings could enjoy a good brunch. And now, it was all about to be undone by a vengeful blob with a grudge against Avocados. She turned to her team, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. All right, people, we got 16 minutes and change to save the galaxy. Again, any ideas? Lem raised his hand tentatively. Anyone know how to make a really big sandwich? A sandwich? ZYX echoed, staring at Lem incredulously. The entire galaxy is about to be engulfed in cosmic sourdough, and your solution is a sandwich. Lem's eyes gleamed with that special spark of millennial madness that had gotten them this far. Not just any sandwich, ZYX. The ultimate sandwich. The sandwich to end all sandwiches. The dash. We get it, the entire room chorused. Pixel's fingers flew across her hollow keyboard. You might be onto something. If we could create a sandwich massive enough, with the right combination of ingredients, we might be able to contain the expansion. Dr. Kale, who had just returned from her arugula mission, nodded enthusiastically. Yes, and if we incorporate elements from every major galactic cuisine, we could create a dish that represents our new united galaxy. Lord Keto flexed his protein shake muscles, and my quantum bagel technology could stabilize the dimensional rifts. Captain Jack sighed heavily. I can't believe I'm saying this, but how do we make a sandwich big enough to save the galaxy? ZYX's eyes lit up. The Dyson sphere? The abandoned megastructure in the Betelgeuse system. If we can repurpose it. On it, Pixel shouted, already sending out the call to every ship in range. What followed was the most insane, high-stakes cooking show the universe had ever seen. Ships from across the galaxy converged on the Dyson sphere, each bringing ingredients unique to their world. The fungaloids of Mushroom Prime provided bread the size of continents, grown in vats that once housed starship fuel. The cheese monks of Beta Lactose contributed rivers of artisanal, gravity-defying fromage. Vegetable planets were stripped bare, their produce teleported directly into the cosmic kitchen. At the center of it all stood ZYX and her team, coordinating the madness with the precision of a military operation and the creative flair of a sleep-deprived art student hopped up on espresso. More umami, ZYX shouted, her voice hoarse. We need to balance out the quantum fluctuations in the crust. Lem wrestled with a vat of hyperdense mayo the size of a small moon. If I spread any more of this, my arms are going to fall off. Less complaining, more spreading. Dr. Kale snapped, carefully cultivating a forest of leafy greens across one hemisphere of the mega sandwich. As the final seconds ticked down, Lord Keto hovered above the creation, his protein shake body vibrating with anticipation. It's time, preparing to apply the quantum bagel effect. Now! A blinding flash lit up the star system as the quantum field enveloped the Dyson sandwich. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, with a whoosh that echoed across light years, the galactic core expanded. A wave of sourdough energy rushed outward, threatening to consume everything in its path. But it met the sandwich. For a breathless moment, it seemed like even their insane plan wouldn't be enough. The bread began to buckle, cheese oozed through dimensional cracks, and for one terrifying second, it looked like the whole thing might collapse. Then slowly, impossibly, the expansion began to slow. The sandwich absorbed the excess energy, growing even larger but holding its shape. The quantum field shimmered, stabilizing the whole cosmic concoction. Cheers erupted across every ship, every planet, every corner of the galaxy that still had speakers or auditory organs. They had done it. They had saved the universe with the power of brunch. As the celebratory feasting began, after all, they now had a sandwich the size of a solar system to eat. ZYX found a quiet corner to catch her breath. She was soon joined by her team. So, Captain Jax drawled, a hint of a smile on his weathered face. What's next? Planning to rearrange some black holes into the shape of a coffee mug? ZYX laughed, the tension of the past few hours finally leaving her body. Honestly, I think I need a nap. And maybe a light snack. They all chuckled, the absurdity of their situation finally hitting home. They had started with a simple desire for affordable avocado toast and ended up reshaping the very fabric of the cosmos. As they stood there, watching the galaxy swirl around their impossible creation, Lem spoke up. I've been thinking, we've united the galaxy, ended ancient conflicts, and literally changed the structure of space-time, all through the power of food. Dr. Kale nodded thoughtfully. It just goes to show there's nothing more universal than the desire for a good meal. And good company to share it with, Pixel added, uncharacteristically sentimental. ZYX looked at her friends, this mismatched group of cosmic revolutionaries, and felt a warmth that had nothing to do with nearby stars. I propose a toast, she said, raising an imaginary glass. To the power of brunch, the strength of friendship, and the unstoppable force of millennials with a cause. As they all cheered, a transmission crackled through on their comms. It was the Cosmic Cuisine Council. ZYX? We have a situation. It seems the Crab Nebula is demanding cheese. A lot of cheese. Something about the sandwich making them crave dairy. ZYX sighed, but there was a smile on her face. Some things never changed, but that was okay. As long as there were meals to be shared and friends to share them with. She was ready for whatever the cosmos could throw at her. All right, team, she said, straightening her Smash the Patriarchy and Avocado's headband. Let's go make some cosmic cheese plates. The galaxy's brunching habits wait for no one. And as they headed off to their next culinary adventure, the stars themselves seemed to twinkle a little brighter, as if the universe itself was smiling at the thought of its next meal.